Nothing makes me happier than doing work that energizes me. And I've always been committed to that, not just for myself, but for my entire team. That's why I'm so excited about the Working Genius model. It's a powerful tool that helps you discover your natural strengths and where you thrive in your work. When you tap into what you're naturally good at, work becomes more rewarding and you get so much more done. Honestly, I wasn't sure what to expect when I took the Working Genius assessment, but it blew me away with how accurate and insightful it was. It affirmed that I am naturally gifted at using my intuition and instincts to evaluate and assess ideas or plans. And it also confirmed my love for self-starters and the fact that I can get frustrated if I have to be the main source of motivation for other people to get results. The assessment only takes 10 minutes and it's great for solopreneurs and teams alike. Imagine with me how effortless your teamwork will be if you understand the working geniuses of those that you're working with. Working Genius is different from everything else out there because it's 20% personality and 80% productivity. Simply put, if you want to transform your work life, this is it. Get 20% off the $25 Working Genius assessment. Head to workinggenius.com and enter the promo code GOALDIGGER at checkout. That's workinggenius.com, promo code GOALDIGGER.
It's not about something's being wrong or it's not about fixing you, but it's really about, really taking care of yourself in a different way. I think it's your body's wake up call to say, you know what, these things are changing and you really need to think about how you're supporting yourself and supporting your body through that change so that you can live the last half of your life the way that you want to.
I'm Jenna Kutcher, your host of the Goal Digger podcast. I escaped the corporate world at the age of 23 with nothing more than a $300 camera from Craigslist and a dream. Now I'm running a 7-figure online business that feels even better than it looks, all from my house in small town Minnesota with my family. Here, we value time as our currency. We mix the woo and the work, and we are in the pursuit of building businesses that give us the freedom to live lives that we love. I've always loved turning big goals into reality, and I'm here to help you do the same. This isn't just a peek behind the curtain. Come along with me and my guests as we tear the whole curtain down. Every week, we tackle practical, no-fluff marketing strategies and host honest discussions on what works and what doesn't. Join me and my expert guests for actionable insights to help you grow your dream business with confidence. Pull up a seat and get ready to be challenged, inspired, and empowered. This is the Goal Digger Podcast. What if the reason you feel tired all the time, or you struggle with weight changes, or you feel disconnected from your libido or your energy isn't just getting older? What if the real issue is that your body's been whispering to you for years, but you haven't been listening? My guest today, Katie Whalen, is flipping the script on women's health. She's the founder and CEO of Joy and Blokes, a telehealth brand helping people take control of their hormones, longevity, and overall wellness. This isn't just your typical get some labs and good luck kind of business model. Joy is making the kind of advanced personalized wellness care that used to be reserved for celebrities radically accessible and empowering for all of us, including me, who has been a customer for years. Katie's story started with her own struggles, years of fighting fertility issues and hormonal chaos that left her frustrated and ignored by traditional medicine. So she decided to build the company she wished existed. Today, she and her team help thousands of people finally feel like themselves again using a mix of data-driven protocols, prescription therapies, and smart supplements. If you've ever wondered what's really going on with your energy, your mood, or your metabolism, or if you've just been told to just deal with it, this episode is your permission slip to expect more from your wellness journey. We're going to break down the myths around hormone health, talk about 2 biomarkers you should get tested, and explore what it really means to take a proactive, not reactive approach to your health. And hey, if you want to get your own lab work done, which you will want to after tuning into this episode, you can use the code GOALDIGGER at joyandblokes.com and get 50% off of lab testing or 15% off a therapy of your choice. Your journey to feeling like yourself again, it can start today. Go to Joy and Blokes, that's JOYANDBLOKES.com and use the code GOALDIGGER. All right, Katie Whalen, it's about time you came to the Goal Digger podcast. Welcome to the show. All right, Katie, we're going to dive off the deep end here. And I want to start with something that I think we just have to hit on first. So many women here, your blood work comes back normal. Everything looks good. And yet A lot of us are not feeling well and we're told like just deal with it or it's just a part of getting older. What is happening? What's going on?
You are describing one of the most frustrating things in traditional healthcare, especially for women, I would say.
Yes.
When someone hears you're normal, but then you don't feel good, there's a big disconnect there. And oftentimes our system will dismiss that gap, really. So, really, it's like a mismatch when you're looking at labs and what traditional lab values show you. They take an average of a bunch of people that probably don't feel that well. They're going to their doctor to get their labs tested. They make a wide range and say, here's what's normal. So, what we do instead of looking at, what's normal is we instead look at it through a lens of what's optimal. And so a lot of times I'll hear people come back to me and go, well, my doctor said my labs are normal. And I'm like, this is exactly, and they're kind of like accusatory, like maybe we're just making something up or we're leading with fear. But I'm like, this is exactly why we exist, because there is a difference between what is normal in society right now and then, what we think is optimal and how we get you feeling your best. The other thing is that most clinicians are not wired to look at root cause or go deeper. They look at a symptom or they throw a pill at a problem. And so what we're really trying to do is look at all the things. Look at inflammation, look at vitamin deficiencies, look at how stress and sleep are affecting everything, your hormonal shifts. And so when you look at it and dig deeper, then you can really figure out what's going on. And then the last thing that I want to point out is that there is a cultural issue, especially with women. Oftentimes we're made to feel like we're being dramatic or like we're being difficult. We're kind of told, you can tolerate pain. And so when we're saying something's off and we're getting the feedback that you're fine, you're normal, there's really a big cyclical cycle that just like keeps that gaslighting, that like cycle of silence going. So those three things is really what we try to change in the system. So that's why we want to listen really hard. We want to validate your symptoms. And then we want to come up with a plan that's very personalized to you, matching the labs with your symptoms and goals.
I love this. This is the perfect place to start. And it's so true in terms of like normal ranges versus optimal. Like, I don't want to feel like the average American. I don't think the average American feels all that great. And like, what is optimal health? I just think that that's a huge disconnect. And it's so interesting too, because when you start to look at things through that lens and you think like, I want to be in the panel with the well people and I want to be like high performer because we're all achievers out there, right?
Yeah.
It changes the way that it all is interpreted. So here's something that I want to ask you. So what is like one red flag that you see in blood work or in like client check-ins that often gets missed, but is actually a big deal? Like what is something that people just kind of skim over and it's like, no, pay attention. Blinking red light should be over this.
I might have to give you two because it's very hard to decide between TSH for thyroid and testosterone. Okay. So starting with thyroid, most of the time you're going to say, something's off. I'm tired. I'm feeling cold. I have mood swings, whatever. You'll go to your primary care and you'll get your TSH checked. And that can come back looking normal in normal range, but you could still have thyroid dysfunction. And that's why it's so important to test the full thyroid panel. So instead of just TSH, you need to look at T3, T4, thyroid antibodies. There's about 6 or 7 things that we test to really break it down and make sure that your thyroid is actually functioning well. What's kind of shocking is that I think it's 60% of women or 60% of people with thyroid disorder don't even know they have it. So they're coming in saying, I don't feel good. And they're going, your TSA is fine. You're fine. And then they just don't feel good for years. They could have like an autoimmune like Hashimoto's that's just dismissed and they're just living with, and they're just told, you're fine, you're aging, it's normal. And it's just not the case because your thyroid affects so much. It's like your internal thermometer that kind of regulates your energy and your metabolism and your sleep and your hormones. So it's a big one.
I mean, it's kind of a big deal.
It's a big deal. Don't check TSH. That's the PSA. And then I don't want to skip testosterone because that's the other one that I see all the time. So people think that's a men's hormone, a male hormone, and they also think it's just for libido, but it's not true. It's a human hormone. We both need it. Women don't need as high of a level as men, but we still need it. And it's actually one of the first things that I got on personally when I was kind of recovering from my personal health struggles. And for me, it felt like all of a sudden I was like turning a light back on. It helps with libido, but it was really brain fog, inflammation. It was motivation. It was feeling strong and grounded. And so it's way more than just a male hormone that helps with libido. And I think it's low in so many women because of modern stress. And then also some certain medications can actually permanently lower it, like birth control pill, which most women are on for years, in their younger years, and don't realize that that can affect, your testosterone levels permanently.
Wow. I've been on a thyroid journey, and the journey just continues on and on. And it is so interesting because Drew the other day was like, what does your thyroid do again? And it's like, we're smart people. We like to listen to health podcasts all the time, but it's like one of those things where you're like, okay, here's all the things it impacts. Mm-hmm. And it is just so interesting. And for me, like I didn't get blood work done until we went through our fertility struggles. And I know I want to hear your story too, because I don't ever remember getting any sort of blood work done until I had something big enough in my life that mattered enough to like go through that process. And since then, now it's become just a part of my wellness and my well-being. And I really noticed that when I started to get serious about my health, blood work almost became this gamification of my health. Like I wanted to see the levels moving in the right direction. I didn't necessarily care anymore about what I looked like on the outside. I wanted to see what was happening on the inside. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's really interesting because for a lot of people, you might not be getting blood work done ever unless there's something that really requires it or makes your doctors notice. I started getting blood work done for my parents, which was really awesome and so helpful to help them understand their bodies more. And it really just became this part of our lives where it's like, let's do a check-in. Let's like check where we're at with things. I want to hear your story. Like, how did this all come to be? Why are you passionate about this? How did you get into it?
Yeah. First of all, I love that you do check it regularly because I think it's something that I so believe in because your health isn't just static, right? It doesn't stay in one place. You have different seasons, you age differently, you have babies, you're postpartum. So it is cool to be able to check in and see what you can do to help, optimize or change while you're changing.
Yeah. Okay, I've got to tell you about a podcast that I'm completely hooked on right now. It's called This is Small Business, and its brand new season explores one of my all-time favorite themes, taking bold risks. Hosted by the amazing Andrea Marquez, this season pulls you behind the curtain as she sits down with founders who transformed their maybe one day ideas into let's do this success stories. We're talking nail-biting moments, raw honesty about the hustle, and powerful advice that lights a fire in you. I got actual chills just listening to the trailer. Like every single story makes me pause and think, wow, we literally all start somewhere. And if you've ever felt that tug to take your next big leap, this season might be the exact push and confidence boost you've been waiting for. So do yourself a favor, follow This is Small Business on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. These stories will move you, motivate you, and remind you that courage is the first step towards chasing what really matters. This message is sponsored by Greenlight. As a mom, I've been thinking a lot about how to teach my kids real money lessons. The other day, I took them to Target and Coco picked out a toy. She had her little purse with her, so I pulled out the amount of money she would need to spend in order to buy that toy to help her make her decision. But let's be honest, as a mom, carrying around a kid's purse with $50 in change is not fun. So I started researching better ways to teach her about money, and that's how I found Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app for families that helps kids learn to save, spend, and invest wisely, with parents always staying in control. I love that you can assign chores, send money to their kid wallet, and keep an eye on how they use it. It turns everyday moments into money lessons that stick. Greenlight is the easy, convenient way for parents to raise financially smart kids and for families to navigate life together. Maybe that's why millions of parents trust and kids love learning about money on Greenlight, the #1 family finance and safety app. Don't wait to teach your kids real-world money skills. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/goaldigger. That's greenlight.com/goaldigger to get started. greenlight.com/goaldigger.
For me, I did not plan on doing this. I did not plan on being an entrepreneur. I did not plan on being in healthcare, but really I struggled with fertility as well. If I could do it over again, oh my gosh, I would do things so differently now that I have all this information. But at the time, I had a bunch of miscarriages. I did all the IVF stuff. And then I had my 2 babies when I was in my early 40s. And I was so thankful and grateful for 2 healthy babies. But I was a little bit shocked because I was in a bad place. It was just a lot of emotional and physical trauma both to go through that. And I think it was a little bit shocking to go, okay, I had all this help to get pregnant, to stay pregnant, to have the babies, and then I'm a bit of a mess, kind of an understatement. And then the doctors are like, you're fine, congratulations, be on your way. And so for me, I was actually lucky because my husband had his own hormonal struggles before me, and he was a healthcare entrepreneur. So he had actually started Blokes, which is the men's side of our business, way before I went through my stuff. So I was lucky. I was able to go through the men's side of our business. I got a big deep dive lab. I started working on my hormones, and then I started trying these cool things called peptides. And at the end of it, I was like, holy moly, like we have to do this for women, because I felt like my whole life growing up, it's just like you see women struggle. You see women feel like they're trying so hard to hit a goal, to feel better, and they're just hitting a wall. And I felt like I really found something that was a game changer for me and that was too good not to share. So that's why we have Joy, and I work with my husband, and we've combined it into we're one brand, one, site, and we do both men and women, but we're really trying to dig in and help people just feel better and live better lives.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, because, it is interesting how women go through so many changes.
I know, right?
Regardless of if you have children or not, like our hormones and just everything is changing so rapidly.
Right.
And the level of support, I saw something so funny the other day. It was satire, but it was like talking about plastic surgery. And it was like, because we've already figured out everything else in women's health, let's go deeper on this. And it was just funny because it was like the amount of research that's been done for women is menial. I mean, it's so tiny. And it was just this like hilarious thing of let's talk about this because we know everything about women's bodies.
I'm pretty sure I shared that too, because I loved it.
Yeah, it was so funny. Okay, so one of the things that I have been hearing about more than ever in my life, probably because of the age I am, is perimenopause. I never heard my mom's generation talk about it. I mean, they barely talked about menopause as it is.
Right.
What is it? What should every woman know about this area? What should we be paying attention to? Like, when is this happening? I feel like it is everywhere, and it's probably just the algorithm feeding me this content because I'm consuming it. But what is it?
Yeah, I do. I feel kind of bad because I do think people might be getting sick of it, but it's so much better than not talking about it. I will say that. Yeah, it's everywhere, but it's for good reason. So perimenopause is just the transition time before menopause, and it can be 5 to 10 years before menopause, but it's really just subtle shifts in your hormones, and most women will feel it. So what you should know is that it can happen mid to late 30s. Most women are in it when they're in their 40s. That's kind of the majority of it. But even if you have a regular cycle, it can be, underneath. Your sleep is getting worse, your anxiety is getting worse, you have some cycle changes, maybe feeling a little tired, or really it's just like feeling off. And that's what I hear most often when women come to me. They're just like, nothing's really changed, but I'm just not feeling like myself. So that is kind of like the definition of perimenopause. The other thing that you should know is really estrogen and progesterone balance each other. They're like yin and yang. And so what first happens in perimenopause is your progesterone crashes. So that declines. And that is our calming sleep mood hormone. And because that's declining, then that means estrogen will go up, and it can also fluctuate wildly. So it's really that imbalance of estrogen and progesterone that's causing those major hormone shifts and the symptoms in perimenopause. I would say the key takeaway for perimenopause is that it's not about something's being wrong or it's not about fixing you, but it's really about really taking care of yourself in a different way. I think it's your body's like wake up call to say, you know what, these things are changing and you really need to think about how you're supporting yourself and supporting your body through that change so that you can live the last half of your life the way that you want to.
Oh my gosh. I mean, if we don't go through enough, right?
Exactly.
I had to literally, Katie, I was literally doing the math of like, how old am I again? I'm 37. It took me a minute to even land on that, but it is something where I'm like noticing and just paying attention. And I think also too, like for us personally, we're out of the childbearing years. And so I feel like my focus on my cycle has shifted from the years of paying attention to it for the goal of becoming pregnant and having kids. And so it's really interesting too, even just the different stages and seasons you go through as a woman based on what your goals are and based on where you're at in your life. And so it's just something that I think I've been paying attention to. So one thing that I think is really interesting is that a lot of times if you do get lab work done, so if you get blood work done, you don't necessarily walk away with a real action plan. I know somebody in my family was just going through some medical stuff. They got lab work done. They got what they needed and they walked out. And I was like, okay, but what else was addressed here? Like, did we talk about diet? Did we talk about lifestyle? Did we, no. So can you walk us through like, what is a proactive protocol? Let's just talk about hormones because we were kind of just talking about hormones. What would that look like? Like, what would someone take as a step if they were to get blood work done and then actually walk away with an action plan, not just information, but like things they can put into balance in their life?
100%. You're absolutely right that most people get the blood work and then they get told they're fine or they get the printout and then they don't have any direction. And so at Joy, we try to flip that script. So the first kind of thing to note is the deep dive lab review and symptom mapping. So we do the deep dive lab biomarkers to see where you're at, but then you have to match them to your symptoms, like what's going on. And that's where you can really dive into what we can fix and like how we create your personal plan. So then that's exactly what we do next. It's meet a clinician and go through it together. So we want you to not be overwhelmed. We want you to understand what you can fix and really learn about the options for your body. And then you feel comfortable with choosing a plan A or a plan B or choosing to start somewhere small and see how that feels for you. So that clinician consultation is really important. That's where we collaborate with you to come up with the plan of what to do. And that could include therapies like hormone therapies or peptides. It could include supplements, or it can just be lifestyle stuff. It can be like, you got to work on your sleep. You got to, work on your gut health, whatever it may be. But that plan is collaborative and then personalized to you. And then the third thing is really optimizing and checking in because, like I've said before, like your health is not static. So it is important to keep checking in. I remember probably a year and a half ago, I was suffering from these recurrent infections. I did my lab work and saw all sorts of, like a whole bunch of things, like vitamin D, zinc was low, inflammation was off the charts, gut health was wrong. So I had so many things to fix, and that really helped me fix them. But then since I've been feeling great and, most recently I had a lab check in and there was not that much wrong, but I noticed a few things off and I was like, okay, I actually need to up my creatine intake. And that's the only takeaway I got from that. But the point is it can help you to really check in and go, what's changed and what else can I do or what else can I add to, ongoing.
Yeah. It's so funny because people ask me all the time, like, what supplements do you take? And what do you do? And all this stuff. And I'm like, I will not tell you any of that because it's for me. It's specific to me and my body and what I need. And I think that's something that's interesting. And I think maybe my consciousness around it has just been more in a state of awareness of just like when people are saying like, just take this and you're going to feel great. And it's like, but every body is different and everybody's needs are different. What I take is different from what Drew takes. We've gone as far as to get like our kids' DNA methylation done so we know what they can methylate and what they can't. Like, it's just every person is so unique and everybody's needs are so unique. And so if you're taking your recommendations from somebody else of what works for them, it might not work for you.
100%.
And I think that's part of like our culture has gotten too lackadaisical of like putting a Band-Aid on it, or like one thing works for everyone. And I personally don't believe that. And I think that in seeing lab results, it gives you clarity inside of like what is happening in your body right now. Where do you need to pay attention? How can you support your body? And as somebody with ADHD who like, I had never been on medication, I like struggled to like remember to like take things in the morning and take things at night. When I know like this is what my body actually needs, it helps me to like get into that rhythm and routine so much more than just being like, well, I should take that vitamin today. Then I forget about it. Does this resonate?
I feel that so much, 100%. When you can actually see it and then go, like when I saw that my lab results where I'm like, oh, my zinc and D are low and I've been sick, I can't fight off this infection. I'm like, okay, that's a clear, like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take this because I want to get rid of this. And that's it's very helpful. I agree.
It makes your future far more compelling to want to like support it than to like ignore it, which has been just so huge. Okay. So one thing that's interesting is that there are people who don't have thousands of dollars, right? They are not ready to spend thousands of dollars getting all the health things, or, you know, they have this desire to feel better fast, but maybe the financial side isn't there.
Yeah.
If you could just we're just going to give one of each thing. So what do you think would be one biomarker or one thing that they could test on their body if they have access to it? One lifestyle tweak that they could make. And even though we just said we don't do blanket supplements, is there a supplement that is helpful regardless of what your lab would say, or maybe not? Tell me that.
Yeah. Okay. So
biomarker
first one, I'm going to tell you our mission at Joy is to be accessible. So we are really not just for the biohacker. We're for the average woman who says, I'm tired of being tired. So we actually have 3 lab options. And the most accessible one, we call our complete hormone panel. It's 56 biomarkers and it comes with a 30-minute clinician visit. And that's $149.
Oh.
And so oftentimes we also discount it for new patients as well with different codes and that kind of thing. So that I believe is accessible for most. It's a great starting point to help really kind of get you on your way. Lifestyle tweak, I absolutely love in the morning, waking up and going outside for like 10 minutes, getting that morning sunlight. And then I would say, make sure you put some protein, high quality protein in your breakfast. So I think the sunlight will help with your circadian rhythm and the protein will kind of help with your energy so you're not crashing throughout the day. And then the last one, supplement. I totally feel you on being personalized with that. I'm 100% on board with your thinking there. But I will say one supplement I won't miss is my magnesium at night, magnesium glycinate. So that like helps with sleep, anxiety, PMS, a bunch of things. And most people are deficient in that. So if you can't get a lab or, you know, it's not accessible to you, I will say magnesium is probably going to benefit you. It's affordable. It's effective. And again, most people are deficient in it. So it's probably a safe one to pop if you're not getting a lab.
I love that. If you need help getting morning sunlight, just adopt a puppy and you will be out when the sun rises. But it is actually, puppies are great because they make you get out and move.
Yes.
Okay. So I want to talk about just the hormonal pressure cooker. So I know for you and I both, like entrepreneurship, motherhood, being in this stage of life, I feel like we're literally just living in this state of a universe that is trying to dysregulate us, right? Whether it's our nervous system or our hormones. So what is something that I'm just like digging right now, Katie, what is something that you are personally doing to support your health right now? And what is something that's changed the game for you?
Yeah, I will 100% agree that this is a pressure cooker right now. And honestly, like, I can't tell you that I'm holding it together all the time. And, you know I'm not alone. So I feel good in sharing that and knowing that there's another community of women out there that feel similar. I have a very busy season right now with trying to build the business, with trying to show up for my family, and with facing, all the things that come with being in my mid 40s. So one thing that I've learned with age is that I can no longer just run on caffeine or willpower. I used to be able to do that, but not anymore. So now I like really look at my health as my foundation. That's my starting point. It's not an afterthought. Hormones, peptides have been a huge game changer for me. Again, I feel like it really got my body to feel like it's working for me, with me, and not against me. And then again, those lab check-ins kind of help as I evolve and as I change through different seasons, tweak my regimen. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing I really have loved is I've kind of changed the way I work out. The last couple of years, I've hired a trainer and I'm doing strength training. And I feel like that's made me feel stronger and more capable and more grounded. It's like this woman roar kind of power that I feel with that. So I think that along with trying to eat real whole foods is important for me.
Yeah, I love that. When I first launched my own digital shop, it was to share tools I'd originally created for myself. Things like templates, pricing guides, editing presets. But I honestly had a lot of what ifs. What if I had to manually set up the entire site? What if managing orders became a full-time job? What if I couldn't get people to actually go to my shop? Then I found Shopify, and those what ifs slowly turned into why nots because Shopify takes care of everything for you. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US. From household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started like mine once was. Can't design a site? Shopify's got beautiful, ready-to-go templates. Need help? Use Shopify's AI tools to enhance product images, write descriptions, and create discount codes. Worried about marketing? Shopify's easy-to-run email and social media campaigns helps you find your people. And if you ever get stuck, their award-winning support is available 24/7. Turn those dreams into and give them the best shot at success with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/goaldigger. Go to shopify.com/goaldigger. Shopify.com/goaldigger. One of Quinn's favorite games is asking me to be an airplane and fly her around the house. And every time she picks a new destination, places like Arizona, Nashville, even Florida. I started to notice that the places she chooses, they're all spots we've traveled to as a family. Travel is something we absolutely love, and whenever we travel, we opt to book an Airbnb. It gives us space to be a family, like when we stayed in Arizona and had a pool, a putting green, and separate bedrooms for the girls. Hello, better sleep. It was the perfect place to make memories that have stuck with all of us. That trip reminds me how thoughtful hosting can be and how much it can shape someone's experience. But I also know how much work goes into creating that kind of stay. That's why I love that Airbnb now has a co-host network. You can team up with someone local who takes care of all the details, guest communication, check-ins, even setup, so that your space still shines even when you're not the one managing it. If you've been dreaming about hosting but wondering how you'd actually pull it off, this is your sign. Find a co-host at airbnb.com/host. You ever get served an ad that made you wonder, how did this even end up in my feed? The other day, I got served an ad for a luxury penthouse concierge in Manhattan. Like, I live in small town Minnesota. Our idea of valet here is a teen in Crocs handing you your iced coffee at the drive-thru. Unless that penthouse comes with mosquito spray and a tater tot hot dish, I'm out. It's frustrating not just as a consumer, but for the business wasting their hard-earned budget on the wrong audience. That's why when it comes to reaching the right professionals, the solution is clear: LinkedIn ads. With over 1 billion users on LinkedIn today, your message stands the best chance of reaching the people who actually matter. And that's where it stands apart from other ad buys. LinkedIn lets you target by job title, industry, company, role, seniority, skills, even company revenue. Basically, all the professionals you need to reach are right there in one place. So stop wasting your precious budget on the wrong audience and start connecting with the right people only on LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn will even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign so you can try it yourself. Just go to linkedin.com/goal. That's linkedin.com/goal. Terms and conditions apply, only on LinkedIn ads. I feel like I'm trying to think for myself right now. I'm like on an investigative journey with my thyroid, which actually, Katie, you've been a part of for the last few years. So I did blood work through Joy years ago. And my thyroid has just been on its own journey. And so we have been trying to get to the bottom of it. And I feel like we're finally on our way up. I feel like we finally, and it's interesting because like you said, like our bodies are constantly changing. And I feel like it's so easy to get blood work done once and be like, okay, I have the full picture. But it's like, I try to do it twice a year is kind of my rhythm of what I do, and just almost as a check-in. And it's so interesting. So I'm working on supporting my thyroid, and I am also just loving like gardening and knowing where our food is coming from. I feel like that is an area that we're going very deep on. We have chickens. They have not laid an egg yet. The other day we got so excited because we have this camera pointing in our coop and it has AI detection, and it said there was an egg in there, and we all ran out, and it was really just a mushroom that my kids had put in there to try to feed the chicken. And we were like, dang it.
Oh, that's so exciting. I am
so
love
exciting.
that.
But
I
yes,
love
and
that.
so yeah, I love that. And I think too, it's like, it's really interesting because I feel like women feel the nervous system dysregulation even more these days. And it's something that I think we're more aware of. And so it's just interesting where it's like we have to call in more supports. And I think we also have to raise our own awareness on our own bodies to kind of be the advocates that we need. And most of us are advocating so hard for other people in our lives, not hard for ourselves. And it's, it's the whole analogy of like, put on your what is it? Put on your, what is
Your
it?
oxygen mask,
Yes,
your life
oxygen
vest,
mask.
all of the
Yes.
above.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah, you're nailing it. That's 100% right. And this is honestly like, I'm so impressed with your journey because I know that you've been working on your health in different ways, and you obviously have figured out a lot in your life with your work-life balance too. But I will say, like, I don't think you're there yet, but when you get to a certain age, like your body will just not let you do the things you used to do anymore. And that's where I'm at, where it's like, boom, nope, we're not doing that anymore. You have to take care of yourself.
Yes. Yes. Isn't that wild? Oh gosh.
Yes.
So I want to know, in terms of like when we think of entrepreneurship, because we're both entrepreneurs, I think our health can often clash with our entrepreneurial drive and the grit and the tenacity required to start businesses. And I think so many entrepreneurs experience high levels of stress, high levels of burnout. And so what has that looked like for you? Because for me, I know that I really unpacked this weird belief that I didn't even recognize that I had until I started to unpack it. That like either the business was going to be doing great or I personally would be doing great. I almost separated health and entrepreneurship for a very long time. And you can literally see it in my life and how it unfolded until I started to see how they interacted. What has that been like for you, since you're obviously in the health space with your entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I honestly, like, I've watched you go through it, and what I feel like is, first of all, you're the expert here because I have not figured it out yet. I am in this like busy grinding season of my life where it's too much cortisol, too much stress, and I can feel it in my nervous system. I'm in the algorithm for like, I got to get my nervous system reset. I got to try these other things. I got to try microdosing, whatever it is. Like, I'm going to try it because it is a season for me of grinding. And I think, it's hard on my body and hard on aging. And I've noticed that the last couple of years, I'm kind of like, whoa, this aging thing is really not a joke when you're in your mid 40s. And so that is something that I struggle with. And honestly, I'm hoping that busy, stressful season can slow down for me soon. And I can do more of the things that really like ground me and light me up. Like I want to bake the sourdough bread. I want to have the chickens, as we were talking about. Like I want to do those, like I want to have nothing on my calendar. So I'm looking forward to when that can happen.
Can I give you advice?
Please.
So you got to start doing those things now. Like space is not going to show up on your calendar. And what's interesting, I literally just recorded an episode about this, but I have ADHD. And what I found is that when I am doing things like baking sourdough or when I'm out in my garden, it quiets my brain enough to have one thought versus a million thoughts. And so it is actually the most productive I am. Like if you're somebody, Katie, that has like good shower thoughts where like all your best ideas come to you when you're in the shower, I would consider incorporating those things right now, because I look at it not as like a leisure or like, I mean, it's so grounding for me and so good, but it also keeps me busy enough to allow my brain to actually think and process and be present. So I would say start doing those things and don't look at it as a hindrance to you getting your work done, but it's like the best work, and you already know all this because you live it. But it is interesting because I went through, I mean, funny, not funny that the company is called Joy, because I went on this quote joy journey last year, which is what I coined it, of like, what am I passionate about outside of work? Like, who am I outside of work and motherhood? Do I even have any hobbies? Like, am I an interesting person? Like, if somebody doesn't understand what I do and doesn't care, what do we talk about? And I feel like that was the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. And I feel like more grounded than ever. And I also just feel like my business is more clear. So I don't know if that's the advice you wanted to hear, but
that is so beautiful. And I think it's probably easier said than done.
Yes.
And you're living proof that it is working. And so that's such an
but baking bread only is going to take a couple hours out of your week. And it would probably just take the hours that you're like watching Netflix or like doom scrolling about
100.
Content about your nervous system. Okay. So one of the things I love about you, and I mean, we've had a friendship for years now, it's like you truly are a champion for people who are navigating motherhood and a mission. And so what advice do you have for somebody who has this ambition, but maybe they're feeling like, I don't even have the energy to tackle the things I want to do. Like, I'm too tired to do what I'm meant to do on this planet.
Oh my gosh. That is exactly what we're here to support. And I would say you don't have to live like that. Most people come to us and say, I don't have the energy. And that's exactly what we help with. And all we need to do, start with a lab, and that'll give us so many different options of like, tweak this, tweak that. And once you can feel like, oh, something clicks, like, oh, I got this. I can do this. I can go to the gym. I can go outside and ground in the grass. Like, once you start to do something and see some change and like feel that hope, then it gets easier to keep going. And so all you have to do is just start and say that you're worth it, because you really are.
I have to commend you and also laugh with you. So Joy and Blokes gave Drew a very unique sense of confidence because the man has never done well with blood work. He's just one of those people. It was the first blood draw that he didn't faint on ever when we did the blood work for you. And so it was so funny because then he got really cocky and it didn't last.
I know you told me about that and I was so nervous. I was like, oh no, I'm going to send someone there and we're going to like kill your husband.
No. And you know, the funniest thing was, Katie, so he told me he got a little queasy with medical stuff. I did not know the level of it. We had gotten married and it was like, I don't know, like 6 days into our life as a married duo. And we did something for like, I think it was life insurance. I don't know why we were doing this at this stage. And somebody came over to like our little apartment and they drew blood, and Drew didn't say anything to either of us. And all of a sudden he just face plants onto the floor and our dog is like rolling the tennis ball at his head. And I'm like, you just killed my husband. I just got married. You killed my husband. He was totally fine. So worry not, you guys gave us such a unique sense of confidence. But what I think was really awesome is just doing the blood work, having the meeting, getting supplements that were not only cutely labeled specifically for myself, that made it like fun to take them. Like there are affirmations on your supplements.
Oh yeah. I wrote those myself.
Did you? But like just feeling like I am doing what my body needs and having that ownership around it. I just think it's really, really powerful. And there are so many avenues you can go and so many options based on where you're at financially, where you're at with your well-being, where you're at with your goals. I feel like you and we scratched the surface and we could go real deep. So what is something that you just want every listener to know and understand and believe before they turn this episode off today?
First of all, you're worth it. You're worth it. And you know, I believe that really life gets better with every decade. There's some weird stuff that comes along with women and aging and perimenopause and menopause, but it really truly can be better if you make the choice to invest in your health. I think it's a very crucial time for you to decide how you're going to live the rest of your life.
You have a very generous offer for our listeners. Can you talk about that? When I saw that, I was like, wait, is this real? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, of course. So I believe what we're offering your listeners is 50% off labs. And then I believe also 15% off any supplement, peptide, anything on the site with your code Gold Digger. Is that right?
Yes, that is so amazing. Thank you so much. I love what you do. I love following your journey. I love being a part of the mission. And I just feel like there's so much empowerment to be had. And there's so much that you can unpack as a woman to just feel alive again. I think so many of us don't know how good can feel. And so we've just gotten used to moving through life in that way. And as someone who has experienced it herself, I never want to go back.
No.
And I just look at my health in such a beautiful way. I heard this analogy. My sister said it because my dad's a big car guy. And she said, if you knew you would only get one car for the rest of your life, like you would take care of that car, you would keep it clean, you would get the oil changed exactly when it needs to be changed, you would make sure that car lasted. And she said it to my dad because my dad's like, you know, a gritty paper mill guy who like drinks Mountain Dew. And that analogy stuck with me because it is so true. It's like we get one body, we get one chance, and we wait until way past the check engine light goes off until we're stuck on the side of the road, right? And we're desperate for answers. And I just feel like when I shifted to being more proactive instead of reactive about my health, I just felt such a different level of ownership in what I can do and how I can impact things. And it's just been a beautiful journey. So thanks for being a part of it.
Oh, this is so awesome. I really, first of all, love being able to, you know, improve Drew's ego. And no, it's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing all that you've been through in your health journey too, because it's certainly an inspiration.
Oh, thanks, Katie. I have personally known Katie for years, and she is an amazing, amazing leader and pioneer in this space of just championing women to feel better, to move through their lives better, to tackle big projects like entrepreneurship better. And I just love her approach, and I love what they have built with Joy and Blokes. Drew and I have both been customers. We've gone through their lab process. It's honestly amazing. And I am just so excited to talk about this more as I've been on my own health journey over the last almost 3 years. It has just been so eye-opening to understand my personal body more and what it needs, and really feel empowered with information to make decisions to support and supplement my body in the ways that it is needing before it screams at me that it needs it. So again, if you want to get 50% off lab testing or 15% off a therapy of your choice, go to joyandblokes.com. You can use the code GOLDDIGGER, which Katie gave to us today. That's JOIANDBLOKES.com. Check it out. If you have not gotten your lab work done recently, or if you've never gotten it done, now is an amazing time to get a look at what is happening inside of your body and support it in the ways that it might be needing. I hope you loved today's episode. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Gold Digger Podcast. Until next time, keep on digging your biggest goals. Thanks for pulling up a seat for another episode of the Gold Digger Podcast. I hope today's episode fueled you with inspiration, gave you information that you can turn into action, and realigned you with your true north in life and business. If you've enjoyed today's episode, head on over to golddiggerpodcast.com for today's show notes, discount codes for our sponsors, freebies to fuel your results, and so much more. And if you haven't yet, make sure you're subscribed so that you never miss a future show. We'll see you next time, Gold Diggers.
Please note, this episode may contain paid endorsements and advertisements, and individuals on the show may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to in the episode. Your support through affiliate links or sponsored content helps us continue to bring you valuable content. Thank you for being a part of the Gold Digger community.